You know, it was always meant to be 3. I did abandon it for a bit in my mind. I didn't think I was going to finish this.
He's like an alien. He's a different species.
Are you going to rob McDowell's again?
I just read the other day they're doing it.
Good to see you again.
Hey, man.
So, we could finally talk about this movie because you had the tease that was heard around the world at the end of Split. You know that people were gasping in theaters. I saw it a couple of times, and I love Split, and I like this one too. And I just, that scene, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like, just gasped.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it was a fun thing to kind of do a sequel without it letting anybody know we were doing a sequel.
How long has this been in development? I've read so many interviews that you've done, but I wanted to go straight to the source.
You know, it was always meant to be 3. I did abandon it for a bit in my mind. I didn't think I was going to finish this. And so for many years, 10, 12, 13 years, really didn't think about it. And Sam and Bruce were very interested in making the sequel. And I wasn't. And I emotionally kind of came back to it with Split when I found a way to make, hey, let me make it as a super contained, scary movie. Cause that could be really cool. So I kind of found my way back into being in love with the story again.
How many directions did it take, though? You know, that long of a time period in between, you probably visited it, revisited it, went back and said, I'm going to change this, I'm going to do this. Can you tell me?
Well, no, I didn't really. There was a folder. Really? There was literally a folder that had all these ideas in it for the final 2 movies, and I really didn't even open it up till after the visit. When I finished the visit, and the visit was a success, and then I went, well, man, let me just look at that folder again. In fact, for a second, I was worried I lost the folder. It was all handwritten notes, and I was like, please, please, please let me find this folder. And luckily, it was where I thought it was going to be. And then, you know, all the papers all the handwritten dialogue and everything was in there. So it was immediately I was back into that world. And I never got to write Kevin Wendell Crumb fully, so it was fun to learn about him.
What intrigues us the most about these characters and this story, as far as like the audience is concerned?
I think doing the comic book genre in a different way, doing it in a super grounded way. You don't have to like comic books to connect with the movie. It's really the kind of humanistic, what if it's real version there. It's about families and the emotion of what it would be like if you believed you happened to be a superhero.
What is it about making films that you love so much? I love your style. I know everybody talks about a director's style. It probably drives directors that's like, what do you mean my style? I just make films. But I love your work.
Thank you.
And I'm just curious, what is it about filmmaking that you love so much?
Well, it's all art forms together. So it's a very complicated thing. You know, it's dance, it's music, it's costumes, it's literature, you name it. It's every art form. It's photography, all in one art form. And you have to honor each of those elements. What colors are we using? Is that the right shirt? Is that the right light on you? Should you even be sitting in this scene? What lens am I using to do that? Should the camera be moving? At what point should it move? All of those thoughts have to be taken back. You don't just do anything randomly. So I really put a lot of thoughts into the ingredients. And in fact, my whole theory now is making lower budget movies and putting as much thought into the ingredients as possible. So I kind of use the illusion that I'm a sushi maker now, like limited ingredients, but just the best ingredients.
Good to see you again, my friend.
There.
So I went back and watched our interview from Split. By the way, great job.
Thank you.
Fantastic job.
Thank you.
So I said, there's got to be some questions that I left out. And one of the ones that I can't believe we didn't talk about, how do you keep these characters straight in your head?
You just kind of got to hang on to the prime characteristic that was the reason that they had to dissociate in the first place, and try and key into that as quickly as possible. And then the next thing is that, you know, they've all got very different physical lives, and sometimes it's hard to get your head into a character, but you can pretty much just assume the physical identity of a character, like, and fake it. But by assuming the physical identity, it bleeds back the reverse way, and it reverse engineers to the intellectual and the psychological. So even if it's like hard on a head bend to kind of go from one place to another and one character to another, you can force the physical and it works backwards.
Who's the most challenging to play?
The Beast, 100%. Really? Yeah, he's so alien. He's not actually human, you know. So it's like, He's like an alien. He's a different species. He's not just a supervillain that goes like, I want to destroy the world. Okay, I'm going to do that now. I'm going to fly and I'm going to go burn. But I'm basically a rational person like you and I. And, I've had a childhood and all that. He's an animalistic creature and runs on instinct and has a very limited. He's not unintelligent, but he has a very limited view and a very limited wealth of experience. And he doesn't just stand there. He roils there and he seethes there, and that made him both physically and definitely artistically hard to play.
Did M. Night give you a direction of how he wanted your character to develop and grow?
Which one?
Well, I guess it would be Kevin. Did he say this is where I'd like to kind of take this, or?
Well, he wanted Kevin to be heroic at the end, and he goes from being a person who's suicidal whenever he's conscious, and to the point where the rest of that collective that share his body can't allow him to be conscious, which is so sad, to a place of wanting to live. And of course that comes at an ironic moment for that character.
It's funny when you said which one.
There's 20.
Yeah, there's multiple.
Well, people say like, what was it like? How do you play a guy with the ID? And like, you don't. You play 20 different people.
You know who my favorite is? Hedwig.
Oh yeah?
Love Hedwig.
I like Hedwig too. Hedwig and Patricia are my two favorite.
If Hedwig came to Texas and went to the rodeo, which is coming up in Houston, it's a huge deal. How would he act?
How do you act?
Yeah, how would he?
I think he'd make a holy show of himself, and he'd probably try and jump in the back of a bull, and get real badly hurt. But what would end up happening then, of course, somebody would try and take control away from Hedwig as he was doing it, and it would be somebody like Barry that ended up on the back of a bull, and that would be a disaster as well.
And then I'd give him a turkey leg, and he'd be happy. Happy New Year, and great to see you again. Mama says hi.
Thank you. Tell her I said hey too.
Is it true that you were asking for a sequel?
No, he told me it was going to be a sequel. I wasn't asking for it.
But I read.
was just asking if he was ever going to do what he said it was. When we started doing the first one, he said it's a trilogy. It's like, oh, okay. So that means we're going to do 3 movies. So I kept trying to figure out, well, when do we do the next 2?
Just, come on, can we do this?
Are we doing the next 2 or are we not doing them? I mean, not like I was going to wait for him.
Right.
I went to work.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. How is M. Night? You've worked with so many different directors. How is he different than some of the other directors you've worked with?
He's really prepared, interestingly enough. A lot of young directors don't show up that way, but he's not a young director anymore, but he was always prepped. He had he had a whole comic book of Unbreakable, so he just had his book, and he'd look at it and say, okay, we're going to shoot this next, we're going to shoot this next, we're going to shoot this next. And he was very efficient and very prepared. And it's something that a lot of people could take note from.
How long did it take you to get ready each day for this character? The costumes and everything that you wear.
Well, I was wearing a hospital gown most of the time.
Yeah,
all I had to do was take my clothes off and tie some, ribbons. I spent a lot more time putting the scars on, the stitches and scar marks, than anything else.
Do you have a dream role?
Not necessarily, no. I don't have any biographical character I want to go back and do. I don't have any of that. No, I've gone through my fantasy list of, kid movies. I've done a war movie, cowboy movie. I've done, some comedies. I've done sort of a monster movie. This is sort of a scary movie, not as scary as I'd like. I'd like to do a proper slasher movie. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
See, there is one there. So the reason I asked that question is because, are you going to rob McDowell's again?
I have no idea. I haven't heard from those people. I just read the other day they're doing it. I mean, I guess that would be interesting, to figure out. Maybe dude's got his life together. He's doing something else now,
Sum up this experience of coming back and doing this movie.
You want closure, and I think, the story has reached a logical conclusion of sorts. And, Knight can be satisfied that he's told the whole story. I guess we can be satisfied that, the characters have, run the race and finished.
What is it like to be in an M. Night movie?
It's a ride, that's for sure. Each one has been different, and I think that's really important tonight. Night likes to bring a different energy to every single film, but for Glass, at least, it just felt epic. That's the way that it felt. We all went to work every single day, and we were just like, ooh, okay, this is singular, this is unique, and we are lucky to be here. Yeah. So let's all bring our A game.
And he's also just like an amazing director to watch. Like he has such a specific style that's uniquely his, and to get him to get to watch him do that, and he manages so many different things at once, and he's also just like such a nice guy throughout all of it, and like actively, like I feel like he just a mentor, especially to us, but to so many people on set. So it was pretty cool.
And that was actually my next question, was the guidance of he gave you, for these roles.
Yeah.
The direction. You probably had to keep these scripts under lock and key.
Oh, yeah.
This is like one of the most anticipated sequels. I just told him, I said, we can finally talk about this movie.
Yeah.
After we saw Split, of course. But what kind of guidance did he give you all as far as the direction of your characters or where he wanted it to go?
I mean, not speaking for you, but I think we just had a very easy, normal conversation, which was just, hey, she's better. We're not better, but she's better. So like, let's make that work. And I was just like, okay, I understand exactly what you mean by that. And then we went off. Like, I feel very lucky to have a relationship with Knight where I kind of know what he's thinking before he's even thought about it, and that makes working together a lot easier.
Same question for you as far as the guidance.
Yeah, I think that the through line for my character was how much he looks up to and loves his father. And we also had a week of cast rehearsals beforehand, which was really helpful. So we could also sort of start to work together and work with Knight. And it was like pretty informal. We were just in his office and stuff, but it's a pretty valuable experience, I feel like, going in. So
It's a psychological thriller. So I'm just curious, do you all scare easy?
In real life or in movies?
Yeah, in real life. In movies, you're
I'm a
tough.
huge wimp.
You're,
In real life?
Yeah, real life. Because in movies,
In movies, I'm a
Yeah.
wimp. In real life.
In movies, I'm a huge
you hold
wimp.
your own.
Yeah.
No, as in like when
Character.
I'm acting and
Right.
character-wise,
Right.
I'm sweet. Me watching a film, I get too invested in the movie, and then I can't cope.
I'm like the most annoying person to watch a scary movie next to.
Do you scream? Do you like yell at the screen? I do the exact
I
same thing.
squirm. I go,
We'll just be like designated to one side of the couch, and everyone's looking at us being like babies.
I've been known to, in middle of movies, look up the plot on Wikipedia so that I know what's happening. So I know as
Shame on you, dude.
That's like
otherwise
reading the
I'm
last page
too
of the book.
annoying. Yeah.
God damn.
Literally what I'll do.
It's great to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
How different is it to be in an M. Night movie?
For me on this one, he has had this story incubating within him for almost 20 years. So he was incredibly excited, but also very serious because I think it was of paramount importance to him to get this story right for him. And so it was intense.
How would you describe his directing style? I've interviewed him before, and he's one of the nicest guys that I've talked to.
Oh, yeah.
Directors, on the director's
Yeah.
side, because sometimes directors can be a little intense.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He's definitely intense, and Knight has one of the greatest senses of humor. But on set, he's a little bit more focused than that. There's not a lot of room for the giggle fits that I have been prone to in my working life, and I wasn't prone to those on this one because I had a important job to do, and I was working with arguably some of the greatest actors that we have, and playing these iconic characters. So I was keeping myself on my toes because it was no joke.
Well, it is an incredible cast, you included, in that. What was it like to go to work every day and just look around and see this?
It was surreal. It was completely surreal. I'm a huge Unbreakable fan, and I love Split too, but Unbreakable sort of like it's indelible in my mind because I remember seeing it in the movie theater, 18 years ago, whatever it was. So those characters really, really have a history for me. And so it was very surreal for Sam to show up. Or, getting ready with Sam in the makeup trailer, and we were the only two people wearing wigs, and so we were in the trailer together all the time, and there he was putting on that Mr. Glass hair, and he'd have those purple slippers that had his initials on it that his mother brought him to the hospital. It was just, every time I turned around, I was like, I can't believe I'm doing a scene with Elijah. It's with Elisha, and that's really a testament to Sam's brilliance, is that the entire time I'm with him, he doesn't speak. But I always felt like I had a real scene partner, and that's kind of impressive, I think.